At 82, the shadows do not feel like an ending anymore. They feel like the quiet conclusion of a long, beautiful day. We spend decades fearing the unknown, but as the finish line draws near, that fear often softens into a profound acceptance, a realization that peace isn't found in staying, but in letting go. For most of my life, death was a specter I refused to look in the eye. It was the uninvited guest at every birthday, the silent worry behind every medical checkup, and a cold draft I felt whenever a contemporary passed away. In my 40s and 50s, the thought of ceasing to exist felt like a robbery, a theft of time I believed I was owed. I spent so much energy building walls to keep it out, exercising to outrun it, and working myself to the bone to distract my mind from the inevitable. I treated mortality as a failure of planning, believing that if I just did everything right, I could negotiate a different outcome. But now, standing here at 82, looking out at a world that seems to spin faster than I can walk, that frantic need to run has vanished. The shadow hasn't disappeared, but it has changed shape entirely. It no longer looms over me like a storm cloud ready to break. Instead, it sits beside me like an old dog, patient and quiet. I have come to realize that the anxiety I carried for decades was not actually about death itself, but about the fear of leaving things unfinished or being separated from the life I was building. Now, with more road behind me than ahead, I see that the finish line is not a cliff edge, but a horizon. The fear was a younger man's burden, heavy with ambition and attachment. At this age, the hands loosen their grip, not because they are weak, but because they finally understand that holding on too tight only causes pain. The panic has been replaced by a quiet curiosity and the realization that the end of the story gives meaning to the pages that came before. There is a profound relief that comes when you stop fighting the current. We are taught from a young age to fight, to strive, to overcome obstacles, and to never give up. We treat aging as a battle to be won and death as the ultimate defeat. But looking out at my garden, observing the leaves turn from a vibrant green to a brittle, beautiful gold, I see no defeat there. The tree does not weep when it loses its leaves. It understands that this shedding is necessary for the cycle of life, even if it won't be the same tree that wakes up in the spring. I have learned to view my own decline through this lens of nature. The slowing of my steps and the dimming of my eyesight are not failures of my body or betrayals of my spirit. They are simply the autumn of my life. Resisting this natural progression only breeds bitterness and frustration. I have found that when I stopped viewing death as an interruption and started seeing it as a part of the rhythm, the anger dissolved. We are biological creatures woven into the same tapestry as the stars, the tides, and the soil. To deny our end is to deny our nature. There is a specific kind of peace found in surrender, in acknowledging that we are not the masters of time, but merely its passengers. We are here to enjoy the view for as long as the ride lasts. By accepting that my season is changing, I can finally appreciate the unique beauty of winter, rather than spending my final days mourning the loss of summer. The resistance was exhausting. The acceptance is rest. When the timeline narrows, the clutter of life falls away, revealing what is truly essential. In my middle years, I worried constantly about what I would leave behind. I thought of legacy in terms of brick and mortar, of bank accounts, professional accolades, and public recognition. I wanted my name to be carved into something permanent, terrified that being forgotten was the worst fate imaginable. I spent decades accumulating things, believing they were proof of my existence. But at 82, those monuments feel surprisingly hollow. The grand gestures I once thought mattered have faded into the background, and what remains are the microscopic moments of connection. I think now about the legacy of my character rather than the legacy of my career. It is the memory of a patience I showed to a frightened child, a forgiveness I granted when I had the right to be angry, or a quiet sacrifice made for a friend. These are the things that endure. The proximity of death acts like a sieve, filtering out the ego and leaving only the love. I have realized that we live on not in statues or plaques, but in the nervous systems of those we loved. If I can leave behind a sense of warmth in the memories of my grandchildren or a feeling of safety in the heart of my spouse, then I have left a mark far more durable than stone. The superficial desires for fame or recognition have burned off like morning fog, leaving only the clear, bright truth. That connection is the only wealth we take with us, and the only wealth we leave behind. Navigating this final chapter requires a different kind of courage. It is not the loud, brash courage of the battlefield or the boardroom, but the quiet dignity of accepting help without losing one's self-worth. As my independence chips away piece by piece, I have had to redefine who I am. I am no longer the provider, the fixer, or the physically strong protector. But does that make me less? I don't think so. I have found a new role in simply being a witness to the beauty of the world. There is a grace in slowing down that I never appreciated when I was rushing through traffic or chasing deadlines. Now, I can sit with a cup of coffee for an hour, watching the light shift across the floorboards and feel completely full. This is the privilege of the very old, the permission to simply be. Maintaining dignity isn't about pretending I can still run a marathon. It is about respecting the wisdom that resides in this weathered vessel. I treat myself with gentleness now. I forgive my body for its aches and thank it for carrying me this far. Even as the world recedes and my circle shrinks, the interior world expands. I have found that dignity is an internal stance, a straightness of the spine that has nothing to do with physical posture and everything to do with how we greet the coming night. I focus on what I can still do, listen, love, observe, rather than mourning what is lost. In this acceptance, there is a formidable kind of strength. People often ask if I have found God or if I am certain of what comes next. The truth is, the older I get, the less I claim to know, and the more comfortable I am with not knowing. When I was younger, the mystery of death was a source of terror. I wanted maps, guarantees, and assurances. I wanted to know the rules of the afterlife. Now, the mystery itself feels like a comfort. I look at the vastness of the night sky, and I do not feel small or insignificant. I feel connected to a greatness that I do not need to understand to be a part of. Perhaps death is not a departure but a return. Perhaps it is simply a deep, dreamless sleep after a very long, hard day of labor. At 82, tired in a way that sleep cannot fix, the idea of eternal rest sounds less like a void and more like a mercy. I do not need to know the mechanics of the afterlife to feel peace. I trust the process that brought me here, and I trust the process that will take me away. There is a holiness in the silence that awaits. It is the silence of a library after the doors are closed, or the stillness of a forest after a snow. I am ready to lay down the burden of being someone and sink back into the quiet stream of existence. I am not afraid of the dark anymore. I am simply ready for the stars. The story ends, as all good stories must, so that something else can begin.